gentlemen, the following session will discuss infrastructure and connectivity. We are honored to have Mr. R.N. Padukone, who will be chairing the session. Sir, will you please come to the dais? A round of applause for him, please. Mr. Padukone is heading the Telecom Engineering Center as Senior Deputy Director General in the Department of Telecommunications, MICT, Government of India. He graduated from IIT Kanpur in 1974 and joined the Indian Telecom Services. During the course of his career with the Department of Telecom, he has been involved in the installation, maintenance of satellite and terrestrial communication networks in Western and Southern telecom regions. Before joining the Telecom Engineering Center, Mr. Padukone served as Senior Deputy Director General in the BSNL Corporate Office and was responsible for the planning of strategic business approach, focusing on next generation networks for induction in BSNL. I would like to invite the speakers for the session, Mr. B.R. Suresh, Mr. Balaji R, Mr. M.K. Datta, Ms. Kavita Mohanraj.
Very good afternoon to all of you. It's a privilege to be here amidst ICT developers, and I belong to the world of telecommunications, which is today talking about 3G, of which quite a bit of criticism came some time ago from Dr. Mehta, was that? Arun Mehta, I think. Who said that all these services are being controlled from one place, and therefore the cost increases, and internet, it's not like that, and so on and so forth. Now, it's very difficult to contest such a statement with a whiff of a hand, and it might take maybe hour or a couple of hours to explain the intricacies of the service platforms and service structure. I'm sure the Reliances and the Tatas and so on will thrive for a very long time more to come, not because of the rich people who are paying them money, but because of the service that goes to the multitudes. It's all about number game. It's not about only targeting a particular rich customer. It's not at all about that. Secondly, in internet, we think that things are very open and things are very, very easy. It's not so, because even if you want to send an email, you have to address a centralized server. For example, Google, or if you want to even BSNL's, I am subscribing that for a long time. So there are mail servers located at certain places, and they do the aggregation of all the messages that come and messages that go. And one more small, I think I'm digressing from the previous, not because I would have very much liked to discuss it during the previous session, but because it has an impact on the topic which is given now for this session, and that is infrastructure and connectivity. and that is there was a comparison made between SMS and megabytes of data that you get on internet. Now these two things are completely two different animals. SMS comes to you on the fly. I think the utilization of SMS has been known to everybody, and therefore I think we should not get into generalizations basically of what is good and what is bad. One thing is never good for everybody at all times, at all points of time. Different flavors of good and different flavors of bad, they will coexist and continue to coexist for a long time more to come. And therefore, a business person has to look at how to package whatever good and bad that is available in the technologies and make it meaningful to his customer. This is what the basic business is all about. Now, without getting into more talk on this aspect, I would like to say that infrastructure and connectivity are very, very important for ICT, because it's the back-end connectivity that really puts you on the global map. The services have to reach out not only to the small set of people in the village, but the small set of people in the village have to be connected to the entire world. That's what it's all about. And one of the major success stories that I recognize, I'm sure there will be many people who will agree with me, is eChaupal. Drishti, Nlog, these are some of the names that we find have been a success story in some measure or the other. Once again, we should not try to compare these with the same yardstick. Each one has got different objectives, different way of operation, and different scope also to a large extent. So therefore, these models which have been success stories by and large, what is it that they have in common? What is the important thing to recognize for ICT to succeed? This is what I was just thinking about as to how to structure my talk in this. I'll give a few 5 minutes talk more, which will give a little background to this whole connectivity business. Now, ICT kiosk is a very small entrepreneur, we can say, but he has to be aggregated at least in some measure. Otherwise, he is on his own. And the important part of making a success of ICT is that the communication channel which is available to you has to have multiple services, not just one service, not two services. It will have to have scores of services, 20, 30 services going on the LAN, and then there will be many terminals for providing services, and so on. So the very nature of the whole business is that it will require considerable amount of funding to make it viable in a large way. So it cannot be successful if you do it in a very small measure. So this is what I would like to really start with a keynote. And I think the technologies that are now supporting, you must have very well heard of WiMAX and Wi-Fi network, Wi-Fi mesh networking, and all these things. These will really make ICT successful, and these are the technologies that are going to really bridge the digital divide. How we position these technologies is the whole question. I'm not vouching only for WiMAX. I'm talking about WiMAX like technologies, wireless technologies. Even 3G is going to come as a major way to fill up a lot of gaps So they will not be in direct confrontation, direct competition and all that, but every technology is going to have a niche area where it will impinge on this what we call as ICT technology that is going to bridge the digital divide. So we have about 5 speakers with us, and maybe we can start from the left side. Mr. Mrinal Kanti Datta is presently working as Assistant Professor in Economics in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. And his areas of specialization and interest are microeconomics, econometry, and agricultural economics, environmental economics, an ICSSR supported research project entitled Groundwater Markets in Assam, Issues of Equity and Reliability is presently being carried out under his supervision. He has published a number of research papers, chapters in various journals, edited books, and also edited books. He has experience of attending seminars, conferences in the country and abroad, and he is a life member of a number of professional bodies of economics in India. So I request Mrinal Kanti Datta to take the podium, and I think the time given for each would be, what is the average time that you would, 15 minutes each. So kindly try to stick to the 15 minutes. In that, you would target for about 10 to 12 minutes, and let us give 3 minutes for the audience to ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So there is no denying the fact that ICT has a very important role to play in economic development. There has been lots of discussion since morning today about the role that ICT can play in various capacities, be it in the field of industry, be it in the field of manufacturing, be it in the field of agriculture, rural development, credit delivery, everywhere its role is there. However, the issue is, I believe, under what module of ICT application it is more effective. Whether it is under non-governmental organization, whether it is under private initiative, or whether it is under government control. In my present paper, I would like to see how application of information and communication technology through government intervention is helping in reducing the digital divide in the rural areas of Assam, a remote and geographically isolated state of Assam, of India. The title of my paper is Bridging the Digital Divide, the Case of Community Information Centers of Assam in Northeast India. This is the plan of presentation: importance, ICT in global and Indian scenario, CIC in Northeast India, evolution, objectives, CIC for bridging the digital divide in Assam, then suggestions, and I would like to sum up after that. So, ICT can contribute towards economic development in many ways. Employment generation, export earning are some of the direct impacts of growth of ICT in any economy. However, the much more important is its ICT-induced development, means in fact popularly known as ICT diffusion, by which it can improve the productivity, competitiveness, and growth. Ultimately, it can increase in human welfare as well. In the recent few years, there has been lots of ICT growth globally and also in Indian scenario. So this is on table which has shown India's GDP and IT sector over the years. Of course, the data are not very updated, so this can be updated. And in fact, that tells you about the growth of IT sector in India. However, the fact remains that compared to many other developed countries and also many developing nations, ICT penetration in India is not very high. In fact, there is a digital divide, as many of us have been talking about. Digital divide in between North and South, and in fact, if we compare it with Southeast Asian countries also, we find the position of India in terms of internet user. So this is the table which tells us
about internet users in 2 years, two different points, 2000 and 2004. Of course, the situation has changed a lot now. But if you look at population penetration, and if you compare India's figure with some of the Asian countries, we find that our figure is much low at 1.7%. Of course, the figure is in 2004. So in Japan, South Korea, even Malaysia and Singapore, the figures are very high compared to India, and also in China, it is relatively much higher. So not only, you see, if you look at the ICT growth, we find that even within India, there has been lots of uneven ICT growth and diffusion within the country. Growth is limited to a few states, namely Karnataka, Delhi, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Maharashtra. And we find that there was one report that out of 1.5 million of internet users in the country, 1.4 million internet users were in these 5 states. So obviously, infrastructurally advanced states of India will be gaining in terms of ICT growth and diffusion, but the states like underdeveloped states like Eastern region and Northeastern region will surely lag behind. Northeastern region, as we know, it has traditionally been less developed due to its remoteness and difficult hilly terrain. The entire region is lacking a strong communication infrastructure. We know it is connected to the mainland of India only through a second corridor of North Bengal. So obviously, under this situation, participation of private sector in bridging the digital divide and also in ICT diffusion, that is not very high. You cannot expect private sectors to play a greater role in ICT diffusion of such states. Obviously, government has a greater role to play. So ICT diffusion in the form of community information centers in India, in Northeast India, that was started by central government in 2000. So that was basically meant to provide ICT infrastructure in the rural areas of the Northeastern region, and by doing that, it was expected that the bottlenecks of communication and maybe remoteness that can be overcome, and overall regional economic development can be achieved. The project started with a pilot project covering 30 blocks in the Northeastern region, out of which 15 were in Assam. It was inaugurated in August 2000. By August 2002, community information centers were established in all the 487 blocks in the region, out of which 219 community information centers were established in Assam in 23 districts. The basic objectives of CIC were something like this: to establish ICT infrastructure, to create IT awareness amongst the local populace, to provide computer education and training, to provide citizen-centric services, facilitating e-governance, and ultimately to use information technology for sustainable regional development. To achieve these objectives, infrastructures were provided like this: 1 server machine, 5 client systems, FreeSat, laser printer. So this type of facilities were provided, along with generator, telephone, air conditioner, LAN, TV, webcam, etc., etc. 2 CIC operators were appointed in each of the CICs. They were in overall charge of the community information centers in coordination with the National Informatics Centers district unit and state unit. So present study which we undertook for the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology, Government of India, and also National Informatics Center. So the objectives of this particular study was to examine the functioning of community information centers in relation to their stated objectives, also to find out socio-economic aspirations of the people at the block level and how CICs can help fulfill their expectations, and later on we try to put forward some of the recommendations for better functioning of the CICs. The project basically was jointly, in fact it was sponsored for 5 years by the central government, and the coordination between state government and IC. It's a joint operation that way. State government and IC and central government were responsible for this. So basically we conducted field surveys, primary data were collected, multi-stage sampling method that was used, and about 18 blocks in 9 of the districts in the state, so that were covered. So we contacted persons who were in the vicinity of the CIC, so they included beneficiaries as well as people in control group who were not beneficiaries of CIC facilities. Also, we interviewed the officials of community information centers and also national informatics centers were in fact associated with the project. Some of the findings, before going to that, this is the location map of Assam, so which shows the location of Assam as well as Northeast, which is strategically located, covered by many foreign countries, including Bhutan, China, Myanmar, and Bangladesh. This is the small corridor through West Bengal, through which we are linked with the rest of India. So some of the services provided by community information centers when we carried out the study were something like this. Basically, training on computer application, advanced training in computers, then word processing, printing, internet browsing and email, examination results, health and medical information, information on career opportunities. So basically, these are citizen-centric services. Of course, these were provided in a low key. Only informations were provided, not the services properly. So out of all these, training on computer application and advanced training on in computers, that was the mostly provided service by the community information services centers. Women are considered to be one important group for development. They are considered to be important as in carrying out economic development. But in case of these community information centers, we found that participation of women was very low. Only about 9% participation was there. Students, they were found to be one of the dominant group among the users basically. But farmers, who constitute the bulk of the population of rural India, so that constitutes 6%, housewives only 1.2%. 85.11% of the sample, which comprises mostly the youth, they were found to be aware about the CSCs. The rest were not much aware about the services provided by CSCs. That means there remains a gap. So awareness is one big problem. So about 76.4% of the beneficiaries are found to use the services provided by the community information centers. Of course, that's a good sign. Citizen-centric services were not provided in a proper way. Only about 33% of the beneficiaries, they were found to avail these services. Of course, that was also in a low key. Some information on employment opportunities, information on bank schemes, downloading of various application forms. These were some of the activities or maybe the services which were availed by the people there. So some people are referred to location of this type of centers. In fact, Dr. Bahar also mentioned these. This is one important aspect of community information centers. It's a government-determined one. So in which, in fact, all the community information centers were attached to either the block development offices or maybe school buildings. If the block development office is not centrally located, obviously people will not be interested in using the facilities of community information services. That is exactly the case in case of CICs. So in most of the cases we found the block development offices were not located in the center point of the villages. So which is why people preferred other destinations where they will have better connectivity. So location and distance from their residences. So these are inversely related, obvious thing. In case of rural areas, it will be much more relevant. So some of the problems they faced, basically the users, they informed that the problems are related to basically the infrastructure of the CICs. This included the supply of electricity, which is very essential, and also lack of sufficient space and furniture in some of the cases, because the users were relatively more, so sufficient space was not available. Sufficient computers were not available, only 5 client computers were available. So delay in providing maintenance services, which is basically done by the NIC in the district headquarters many a times. If one machine goes wrong, so there is a long delay in maintaining that or maybe solving the problems of those computers. However, the good point is that all the users found the services provided by the community information centers in the present form to be useful. We tried to know the aspirations of the people, and also our intention was to highlight on certain issues which might, in fact, certain issues, if incorporated, which might help in providing better functioning of the community information centers. So we found that the limited spread of citizen-centric services by the CSCs, that was mainly because of the fact that the district headquarter was not in a position to provide the data on many aspects, maybe records of rights of land, maybe certificates, many other issues, many other things on which the information was not available in the district. Information was available, but these were not computerized. So that's why these things were not provided by the community information centers in the village areas. So that means the government has a important role to play in this. So we expect that government should be more proactive insofar as providing citizen-centric services to the citizens. To make it more vibrant and effective, some interactive services can be provided, maybe like online public grievances. Of course, some of the chocals or maybe kiosks in other areas are doing all this. So maybe providing certificates. Of course, there are problems also. So in providing certificates, but still these things will make the CICs more effective and more attractive towards the village community. Okay, innovative services may be provided. Maybe farmers may be provided with information on latest technology, and also maybe if they have some problems, they may be allowed to consult some experts, and so that they can overcome their problems, or maybe they get the remedies. And these type of services may be extended also to school children, youth, and other sections of the rural people. One of the issue, or maybe one of the services, G2C services to be provided by CICs was related with the marketability of the products. We know agricultural sector in India is suffering mainly because of the problem of non-availability of adequate market for the produce. So we have this second generation problem everywhere. So the CICs are expected to provide information on market for the produce. So in this case also, we expect that periodic updating of information is required. If you have to give information about Rabi crops, that information should be for Rabi crops only. It should not be provided for Kharif crops. Should be relevant to the area that the CIC serves. Location-specific problems might be there. Location-specific services might be provided. So those things are to be considered by the community information centers. So awareness generation is one big issue which is to be taken up very seriously. So most of the people, in fact, in the vicinity of CICs in the time of carrying out this survey, so they were not very much aware about the services. Of course, time has passed, but still a revisit to the areas so that awareness about the CIC facilities are not is not very to that extent that it should be. So some of the innovative services, kind of a distance education program, or maybe information about different government officials. So those things can also be provided through the community information centers. That is the expectations which people had. In fact, we also believe in that. And location of the CICs, that is one important issue. So if you really want to make CICs vibrant and effective, obviously the location of the CICs should be in a better position, or maybe in accessible locations. For example, it might be in center point of the villages. So effective and efficient services are to be provided to make the CICs sustainable in the long run. Already we have come to know that March 31st is the last day in which the central government will not take charge. In fact, from this day, central government will not take charge of this community information centers. So obviously, some other organizations might be involved, or maybe state governments may be asked to take charge of these community information centers. Whatever that may be, if you want to make it effective or efficient, obviously you should provide some good services to make it sustainable in the long run. So at the end, I would like to say that these community information centers in northeastern region, which is beset with many problems like hilly terrain, remoteness, and all those. So it's a very big, very good tool for bridging the digital divide in Assam, particularly in rural and urban areas. However, it has not been fully successful. Only partially it has been successful in achieving its objectives. So there should be some stronger coordination between state governments and community information centers, and also, if possible, possibility of involving private sector and also maybe other organizations who might be interested, or maybe who might be interested in taking up these community information centers. So that possibility should be explored. Otherwise, this good infrastructure which was created by the central government, so that will no longer be providing the services it was designed to provide to the people of northeastern region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Datta. It was was a nice exposition of working of CICs in northeast state of Assam, which covered 18 blocks out of about 9 districts, which probably means less than 1/3 of the state. Am I right?
One clarification. Actually, CICs are there in all the blocks of the northeastern region, 219 blocks in Assam. Only in our study, I carried out in 18 blocks of 9 districts.
Okay, I think the study was related to 18 blocks, and it's actually available in all the blocks. But one of the underlining facts which he said at the last was to involve private individuals into running these CICs. And that reminds me on the previous speaker, Mr. Islam was saying that this was one of the main grouses, that it should be from private entrepreneurship. That is what is going to make a success story out of these kiosks. I would like among the audience, anybody would like to ask any questions relating to this. Before that, one of the other points which he mentioned was poor connectivity in the state, especially considering it is a northeastern state. And he said that the government is the only one who can assure reliable connectivity. In this context, I think we can almost look at Northeast as an isolated state with a small corridor connecting the country. So an optical fiber cable, even if it goes through this and it gets cut, I think it's completely cut off. So as far as connectivity is concerned, I think we have CDOT, which has got a very good solution there. I think he'll be talking about it. In the meanwhile, if there are any questions to Mr. Datta, the floor is open, please. Yes, please.
This may sound a little bit out of the way.
Yeah, okay.
My name is Venkatesh. My question could sound a little out of the way, but it is just for my own curiosity. I would like to ask you. Just wanted to know what was the operating system that these 219 centers are using. We are talking about the scale of at least 5 computers into 219 centers, CICs. What was the operating systems that they were using, and do you want to make any comments on it?
Talking about Windows and all those?
Yeah, Windows?
What are you talking about? Operating system is Windows, Linux, all those?
Yes.
Windows is the one which is used by them. Maybe Linux. I'm not very much aware about other operating systems because I didn't look into all those, of course.
Okay, sure.
One more thing, as you have rightly talked about bridging the digital divide. On one hand and other hand, you are talking that poor connectivity. So, how you are relating the two terms?
While talking about connectivity, basically, I was talking about hilly terrain and geographical isolation of northeastern region. Bridging the digital divide, basically, you see, it's between rural and urban areas, and maybe in some of the areas, other states of India, and maybe northeastern region. That I was referring to. While talking about bridging digital divide through community information centers, basically, I was trying to say how rural areas, people in rural areas, can be made aware about IT services, and also they are to be made aware about IT infrastructure and all those. Because in urban areas, penetration of this ICT is relatively much higher compared to the village areas. So this particular community information center project, that was basically made for the rural areas of northeastern region. It's not for urban areas. So by the term bridging the digital divide, I wanted to say bridging the digital divide in the form of maybe urban and rural areas, and also, but with that, bridging the digital divide in between northeastern region and the rest of India, where normally the ICT growth is much higher in some of the regions, as I have pointed out already. Is it okay?
Does that answer your question? I think bridging the digital divide and connectivity go hand in hand. They are not two sides of the. They are
Actually-
two sides of the same coin, actually.
Actually, I took it from the point of view that reaching to unreached. What is happening in Delhi should know in the rural areas. What is happening in other parts of the country should also know the relating things to the poor villagers, isn't it?
No, I'm not getting you exactly. By digital divide, basically, what do we mean by digital divide? ICT induced development. If you look at ICT diffusion, how ICT diffusion is taking place worldwide. It's not that. If we talk about digital divide in between North and South, what is the meaning of that? In terms of ICT growth, India has achieved a lot. But what about ICT diffusion? ICT diffusion means I am talking about ICT induced development by way of using ICT as a tool for economic development, maybe enhancing productivity. Okay, so that I wanted to mean. Okay, bridging the digital divide means to reduce that, in fact, to use ICT as a tool for enhancing productivity and other things, not only in urban areas but also in rural areas. So that might be applicable for any state. Okay, that might be applicable for northeastern region and maybe other regions of the country, something like that. That I wanted to mean. As far as my knowledge goes, digital divide is basically in relation to the ICT induced development or ICT diffusion, the difference between different regions.
So,
My last question is, have you mentioned, I think not mentioned anything about sustainability of these kiosks or CIC centers in the villages? Any strategy for long-term sustainability?
It's a very good question. Already I mentioned that central government was supporting it till the 31st March 2007. It's a project spanning for 5 years from 2002. The thing is that as of now, the way it is run, community information centers are not self-sustainable. It has to have some help from outside, maybe from central government or something like that, because the cost component is much higher compared to the revenue generated by them. So that is partly because of the fact that, so it's a kind of, you can say, vicious circle. They are not providing good services. They are not in a position to provide citizen-centric services and all those for which they can charge some money. But the problem is that for providing these citizen-centric services, again, the state government or maybe the district authorities should have, they should have a better coordination with community information centers. If the district headquarters is not computerized, the database is not computerized, these things cannot be provided to the CICs, community information centers. As of now, it is not sustainable. But if you associate it with maybe non-governmental organization or maybe private sectors which might look into that profit component, then ultimately in the long run it might be sustainable. As of now, of course, there is no possibility of making it self-sustainable.
thank you.